Hobby Cooks. I am the potato queen of the World Wide Web, and I'm going to be showing you how to make delicious, ultimate roast potatoes. For a roast potato, it is imperative that you use a nice starchy spud. So in the UK, using a delicious Maris Piper or a Maris Piper, and in the US, I mean, it's between like a Russet or a Yukon Gold, I believe, is probably, or even an Idaho, but they're massive as well. You can use a King Edwards in the UK as well. They're a nice potato for a roasty because they're starchy, but they can also hold their shape a bit more, so they can, be a bit more rough and tumble with them. But we're going to use a Maris Piper today. So simply get some Maris Pipers peeled. You can obviously, if you want a bit of extra nutrients and you can't be asked to peel your potatoes, feel free to keep the skin on. I like them without the skin on, because I feel like they get even crispier and crunchier with that kind of starchy goodness seeping out of them. Get your potatoes peeled. I've got some more peeled on the side. With your peelings and trimmings of potato, you can very much put it in the compost, put it in the bin, but it's really nice to throw into the air fryer, a little bit of oil, bit of salt, bit of pepper, bit of paprika, and get them roasted off and you have a little snack. I'm going to be putting these into the compost because I don't know if you can tell, but I eat so many potatoes, I also can't eat the skins as well. So, as if by magic, here are some peeled Maris Pipers. For your roast potatoes, you want kind of larger potatoes, so this is like a really good size, because we're going to parboil them and then we're going to roast them. So they are going to break down ever so slightly. So they're going to get a little bit smaller. So the bigger they are, the more crispy surface area you'll be able to get. Now, as you can see, I've obviously got like a different size of potato here. For this potato in particular, I'm probably just going to cut it in half. And then for this one, if I do this into quarters, they're going to be a similar size. They're all of a similar size, meaning they're going to cook evenly. I think my rule of thumb in my household is probably like 2 potatoes per person for a roast potato, depending on the size. Obviously, if they're humongous, then it's just the one. So, when you're doing potatoes, when you're boiling potatoes, you want to make sure that you start cooking them in cold water and bring it up to a boil. It's just so that they don't cook too much on the outside first and then a raw in the middle. It's so that they cook all the way through at the same time and you don't get like really soft bits on the outside and a raw potato in the middle. So what I've got here is some water. Ta-da! How thrilling. So we've got some cold water here. Get your potatoes in. So this is going to go on the heat with plenty, and I mean plenty, of salt. A lonely potato. With your roast potatoes as well, we want to make sure the water is seasoned so it tastes like the sea. Like properly, like you're in the Cornish Sea and you just got a mouthful of wave and it's a bit like, you feel sick, but anyway, you're having a lovely time, you're going to get an ice cream after this. That's what we want this to taste like. Perfect. So once that's salt's in, we can now get that up to boil. So I've got that on nice and high. I'm going to bring it up to the boil and then we're going to turn it down ever so slightly just so it's kind of like, not rapid boiling, just boiling. And the reason that you cook vegetables, well, root vegetables in cold water is, I don't actually know the full reason. I just know that everything that grows under the ground cooks in cold water and comes up, and anything that is grown above ground is cooked in boiling water. There is a proper thing for it. It will be that, I suppose that, they're kind of like tougher vegetables, aren't they? So they need to be cooked more evenly at the same time, and hence why we're doing it in cold water. Anyway, we're going to leave them to cook for around 10 to 15 minutes until they're nice and cooked. With your potatoes, to test that they are done, we're going to put a little knife in. So this is a little blunt knife that I like to use for testing my spuds. And that just goes in, and if your potato sits on it slightly but just drops off, then they're cooked. So you can feel that they're kind of soft as you put the knife in, which is perfect. I'll move that just here for a second, and then I'm going to drain it. In reality, you could just drain it in the sink, but I don't have enough cameras for that. So I'm going to drain it into a bowl. And what's quite good is you can keep this kind of like potatoey water. So this starchy water underneath you can keep. Once it's cooled down, you can water your plants with it because that lovely starch will come through into the water, feed it, it's lovely. Or you can save that and put it into like a gravy if you're doing a big dinner. But I'm just going to leave this to the one side. Now it's important that when you're doing your roast potatoes that you do a thing that I like to call, well I don't even like to call it, it's just called steam drying. So we're going to steam dry our potatoes. What we're going to do is we've put the colander back into the pan that they were in. You're going to then put a nice clean tea towel, not one of my raggedy oven cloths, over the top of the colander, and the steam that's in there and the residual heat from the pan is going to keep billowing up and steaming and then drying your potatoes out. And the drier your potato, the crispier they are going to be. In about 5 to 10 minutes. So, whilst your potatoes are steam drying, what you want to do is get your oven up to 220 degrees Celsius with the fan on. I know that seems like a ridiculously high heat for potatoes, but what we're going to do is get some fat into a tray, into the oven, and you want it to be so hot it kind of shocks the potatoes into getting lovely and crispy straight away. We're going to decrease the heat at some point, but for the initial bit, we want it lovely and smoking hot for those potatoes. Now, when it comes to choosing an oil for your potatoes, it's completely up to you. I love using a neutral oil, so a vegetable oil or a sunflower oil. I think that you get the best kind of crisp out of it as well, and the most beautiful golden colour. But if you love a little bit of animal fat, go for it. Beef tallow or beef fat is really delicious. It adds another dimension of flavour. You've got duck fat again, adds another dimension of flavour. Also, duck fat has a really high smoking point, which means it can cook for a while, and they almost get like, they get lovely and golden, but they almost get like a bit, not in a bad way, but they get a bit greasier, which is quite nice because you can really taste the fat. You can also use goose fat, very traditional at Christmas time to use goose fat, or olive oil also as well, really delicious. You can have like nice flavoured olive oils, but today I'm just going to go with a neutral vegetable oil. So I've got a little cast iron pan. You can use just an oven tray. You can use a Pyrex glass dish as well, but these kind of cast iron ones, no, enamel, these are enamel, sorry. Enamel trays get a nice gloss to your potato. So I'm getting like a nice layer, a little bit more, in the bottom of the pan. And that's going to go into the oven again at 220 degrees Celsius, which by some magic, ta-ting, it will say the conversion somewhere, or the recipe's below anyway, so. Or you can go to my website, poppycooks.com, and it's all there. It's my email address is .co.uk, and I always get confused. And my email address is, so yeah, poppycooks.com, all the recipes are there as well with the conversions. Anyway, it's going in the oven, ta-ra. So after around 10-ish minutes here or there, our potatoes should be lovely and steam dried. Now, I'm giving a little shuffle and you'll see these kind of like more white kind of flecks that appear on them. And that's where the steam drying has dried it out more. So that is going to get super crunchy. So if you lift the tea towel off and you're not seeing any of the white sort of flecks, then just leave them steam dry for a little bit longer. But you see it's appearing kind of here and on the back there, so that's all good. Give them a little bit of a rough and tumble to really smush up the edges. Again, you're getting that starchy, crispy outside, which when it gets into that super hot oil, it's just gonna instantly like and crisp like a firework. So here is that hot oil out of the oven, and it is super, super hot. Now we need to listen because it's going to sound incredible. Get those potatoes poured straight in. Once you get your potatoes in the hot oil, just give them like a little turn so they all get completely coated in a bit of oil or fat or whatever it is that you've got. And it's quite good to get a flat side down so that you know that flat edge is going to get super crispy. One of the things that I like to do as well to make sure that my potatoes get super crispy and delicious is once they're in the oven, halfway through, I'm only going to turn them once halfway through the cooking. So you're not moving them too much, because the contact between the tray, the oil and the potato, the stiller they stay, that more of that golden caramelization that's going to happen. So we will turn them one more time once they're in the oven halfway through the cooking. There's probably a much better way of explaining that to you. Something like that. So these potatoes are going to go into the oven at 220 degrees Celsius for 20 minutes. And then we're going to turn them. We're going to put them back into the oven at 200 degrees for 15 minutes. Here we are then, 20 minutes later, and our roast potatoes need to be turned, and we need to turn the oven down to 200 degrees Celsius. So we're going to turn them over to get them onto the other side, whichever other side there is. You see they're getting that lovely golden colour. If they are sticking, just leave them there. They'll come off eventually. So when you use your oven a bit more regularly, you'll probably know already, there's kind of like hot spots in ovens. So I've noticed that this side of the potatoes, it's getting to that time of the day. This side of the potatoes, we're getting crispier quicker, so I'm moving some of them over. And then these will go back in the oven for about another 15 to 20 minutes to get them golden all the way around. So at this point, if you wanted to add in some cloves of garlic, some rosemary, some thyme, you'd do that now because we've only got another 15 to 20 minutes left. If you put them in at the beginning, they're going to burn and overcook, so you can put them in now if you want to, but I like a plain salted roast potato. Look at those beauties. They're gorgeous, they're golden, they're crispy, they're fluffy, they're everything you want in a roast potato. Oh! Oh! I wish I'd made more because I want to eat them all. So I'm going to season them up with a little bit of flaky salt. Who's bibbing at me? It's fine. And then you can get them into a serving plate or straight out the tray. I want to just show you the fluffiness. How am I not going to burn my fingers? I'm going to burn my fingers for you, don't worry. Ha! Really hot. They are super crunchy and fluffy all the way through the centre. It's so hot, but they're so good. Roast potatoes, hands down, are the best way to eat potatoes. Well, no, for me, I'll eat all of them, but they've got to be up there with one of the best way to have potatoes. Let me know, what's your favourite way to eat potatoes? I'm intrigued, but this is one for me that I don't think you can beat, really. Can you? Maybe going through the series, yeah, maybe you can, but they're so simple and delicious. As we've changed the vehicle that we're going to be serving our potatoes in, let's go for a little sprinkle of salt as well. Ooh, just look at how golden and beautiful and just delicious. I need to find the most perfect, that one. This one. This is the one. If you want any more tips on how to cook delicious things like roast potatoes, then do like and subscribe to get more wonderful, wonderful videos from myself. Oh my god, they're so good. They're so good. Would you like one? Would you like one? Would you like one? Would you like one? Anyone?